Let's talk about Pennsylvania. You said it's going to be hard for Kamala to exceed Biden's cap, and what's a better way to say it? To exceed Biden's vote count in a lot of these Pennsylvania counties. Why do you think that is?
All right, so if you look at the data in 2008, 08's an important year for understanding the political situation in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was a reliable Democrat state, but without fantastic margins. And James Carville's described the state as Philadelphia and Pittsburgh with Alabama in between.
Right.
All right. So Pennsylvania is not a liberal state. People don't understand this. People that don't travel and don't understand the political equation or the working class dynamics of America have too often associated Blue Coast with Pennsylvania, Minnesota. Now they may have bubbles. You might have Westchester, Pennsylvania, but Pittsburgh is not a liberal place. Neither are the surrounding areas. It may have its bubbles and its core, but it's not a liberal state. So as the wokeness has taken over the Democrats, and not just the wokeness, but the party in 2008 to 10 timeframe, Obama high-pointed Pennsylvania with a 10.4% margin of victory. And that was the biggest margin for either party since 1964, Lyndon Johnson national landslide. And ever since then, the state has been losing Democrat strength. And that started in the 2010 Democrats began openly being portrayed as anti-industry, anti-fossil fuels, anti-working class, and they lost white men. That showed up in the vote totals in 2012. Obama lost more than 300,000 of his votes back in the 2012 election. Romney's problem was he couldn't pick them up off the ground like Donald Trump did. Wow. Romney only shifted the Philly suburbs and got some of the interior somewhat more red, but his margin still was in half. It was a 5.4 margin for Obama in 2012. So the trend was already on. And then when Trump came on board, Republican membership actually surged and Democrats continued to drop registrations. And that was signifying that this is going to close inside of 5 in the state. Trump gained 300,000 votes. Clinton continued to drop. And in 2020, it was 21-1 Republican Party registration edge for new registrations. It was 242,000 net new Republican registrations, and the Dems only gained 11,000. So all that signified that Trump should have expanded his margins in Pennsylvania. I've come up with numbers over 6 points. Now, it's hard to calculate exactly where that should have ballparked given the expanse in turnout, but Trump should have easily held Pennsylvania in 2020. And when I look at these flyover counties in Pennsylvania, which is most of them, Trump trended 64 of 67 counties more Republican in the last 4 years.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
right. Chester County went to the right. So when you look at let's just take Juniata County, or maybe we could take Jefferson County. Those counties have a Biden vote total that is higher than Hillary in 2016, and in a lot of cases higher than Obama in 2012, but not at the 2008 number. So they weren't able to get back to the 08 number, but they did elevate from 12 and 16. That is because many weeks and months of ballot harvesting and planning and mail-in ballot scams were put in place to maximize Biden's vote totals in the extremely Trumpy, almost Wyoming-like portions of Pennsylvania. I do not believe that based on organic lack of appeal and based on electioneering, I don't think Harris can reach those vote totals in 2024. Trump is going to consume more of the vote. I don't think they'll be able to turn out as many ballots, not votes.
I mean, you see that play out in the data right now. I've been running this vote banking operation for mail-in ballots. We built this infrastructure here and kind of fighting the way the Democrats do, except for without the cheating. But they only have a 379,000 person mail-in ballot firewall, which back in 2020, it was like 1.1 million.
I am really only worried as far as margin slide goes. I'm only worried about Montgomery and Delaware counties. Philadelphia County, Trump actually lost Philly County by less than he lost it by in 2016. Now, are they packing votes? Is how many of these votes are fraudulent and have always been fraudulent for the last 30 years? I don't know the answer. And so maybe they have a well where they go to get 500,000 ballots right off the bat. But they're down big time in Philly County. I think they're missing 93 mail-in requests based on this time last year. 93,000, I should say. So they're missing big in the urban centers. They're also missing big time in core Allegheny County. So I think they're going to be missing a lot of the urban vote. A lot of the minority vote's going to move towards Trump. Richard says that Trump's got 11% of black women and more than a quarter of black men. Then you have a not insignificant amount of the Hispanic working class out east. Berks County is a good example of that. And I'd be shocked if he doesn't get a better share of the white working class vote than he got even in 2016. Because I doubt Kamala Harris has ever held a wrench or a hammer or worn a hard hat. And she wants to ban fracking.
That's exactly right. I mean, wow.
So PA smells like a poor man's Ohio to me.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I'm telling you, Seth, Pennsylvania's elections, I'm talking margin of victory would be almost identical to Ohio if our elections were as secure as Ohio.
I think you've got a little bit of a left skew because I think your urban areas are a little bit more troublesome than Ohio's. But I do see, like Pennsylvania, when I run the numbers, I ran a pessimistic forecast where the Dems gained on a lot of their margins in 2020, and Trump still won by a point, 75,000 votes. But in my registration-based forecast, I get numbers like you're seeing come out of the big pollsters today. I've got about 4.5 points.
Yeah, Echelon Insights had Pennsylvania Trump plus 6. I mean, and Atlas, who people like to say on social media is the most accurate pollster of 2020, has Pennsylvania just today in their final poll of Trump plus 1.
Yeah, well, it was actually 1.5 before the rounding. But I think that some people are kind of hedging and maybe even accounting for the cheat machine. I personally don't think Josh Shapiro wants Harris to win Pennsylvania.
I say this all the time. I completely agree. I mean, the guy doesn't want to have to wait 8 years to be president.
So, most people are going to say, well, how can the governor do anything about that? It's easy. Well, he has his own personal.
Absolutely.
Of people that he knows that work closely with him. And then he could just order Philly and Pittsburgh to run a tight ship. And guess what? It's an automatic Trump win.